First contact. The year was 2150. Earth had changed much in the last century. Nations no longer fought each other. Instead, they worked together under the global coalition. Captain Alan Wright stood on the bridge of the Horizon, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel. His mission was simple: patrol the edge of the solar system and map unknown regions. Alan was tall with broad shoulders and short brown hair that was starting to gray at the temples. 20 years in space had left lines around his eyes, but they still held the same curiosity they always had. "Captain, I'm picking up strange readings from Sector 7, said Lieutenant Jenna Foster, her fingers moving quickly across her control panel. She pushed a strand of blonde hair behind her ear as she frowned at the screen. Alan moved to her station. "What kind of readings?" "Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. It's definitely not natural." Alan straightened up. "Set course for Sector 7, maximum speed." The Horizon changed direction, its engines humming with power. The crew worked efficiently, each person focused on their task. They had trained for first contact scenarios, but no one truly believed they would happen. 6 hours later, they arrived at the source of the readings. Floating in the darkness of space was a structure unlike anything humans had built. It was massive, with smooth metallic surfaces that seemed to shift colors. Parts of it rotated slowly while others remained still. "It's some kind of outpost," said Officer Peter Kim, looking at the sensor data. "And it's definitely not from Earth." Alan nodded. "Open all communication channels. Let's see if anyone's home." For several minutes they broadcast standard greeting messages. Then, without warning, a beam of light shot from the structure and scanned the horizon from bow to stern. "We're being scanned," Jenna reported, her voice tense but controlled. Before Alan could respond, a voice filled the bridge. It spoke perfect English, but had an odd rhythm to it. "Human vessel, you have entered territory belonging to the Kradorian Empire. Prepare to receive Ambassador." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Alan straightened his uniform. "Prepare docking bay 1. Security team on standby, but weapons holstered. Let's not start a war today." Within minutes, a small craft departed from the alien structure and approached the horizon. It docked with precision, and soon the ship's sensors detected a single life form entering through the airlock. The ambassador was humanoid but clearly alien. Her skin had a bluish tint, and her eyes were large and completely black. She wore ornate armor that seemed to move slightly, as if alive. "I am Ambassador Lyra Voss of the Kradorian Empire," she announced. "I bring words from Emperor Zeth Kron." Alan stepped forward. "Captain Alan Wright of Earth's Global Coalition. We welcome you in peace." Ambassador Voss tilted her head slightly. "Peace is available to you, Captain. The terms are simple. Earth now falls under Kradorian rule. Your people will serve the Empire as all civilized worlds do." Alan's smile faded. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Earth is not seeking new leadership." "This is not a negotiation," Voss replied. "The Empire claims all habitable worlds. Your species has reached the technology threshold that qualifies you for integration. You may submit willingly and maintain some autonomy, or resist and face the consequences." Back on Earth, emergency meetings were called as Alan's report reached Global Coalition headquarters. In a secured underground facility, Coalition President Maria Rivera addressed the gathered leaders. "We've trained for this possibility, though we hoped it would never come. Activate defense protocols across all sectors. And get Dr. Olivia Martinez here immediately." Dr. Martinez was working late in her quantum physics lab when the call came. She had just made a breakthrough that might change everything. As security escorts rushed her to headquarters, she clutched her data tablet tightly. The Kradorians believed they had encountered another simple species to add to their collection. They had no idea what Earth was capable of. And they certainly didn't know about Dr. Martinez's discovery, a fundamental weakness in the technology the Kradorian outpost was using. The stage was set for humanity's greatest challenge. The Galactic Empire thought they ruled. Earth was about to say otherwise. Tension filled the air as Cridorian ships appeared in Earth's skies. They settled over major cities with imposing shadows. Military installations appeared overnight on every continent. The occupation had begun. Global Coalition President Maria Rivera delivered her public message of acceptance, though her eyes conveyed a different story to those who knew to look. Behind closed doors, the resistance was already forming. Commander Jack Harlow stood in an abandoned subway tunnel beneath Old Chicago. The former Special Forces officer had been recalled from retirement the moment the Cridorians arrived. Now he faced 24 recruited resistance fighters. "They expect us to lie down and accept their rule," he said, his voice echoing off the concrete walls. "That's not going to happen." Jack was not an imposing man at first glance. He stood average height with a lean build, his face weathered from years of military service. But when he spoke, people listened. "The Cridorians have superior technology, but they don't understand humans. We adapt. We survive. And right now, we have something they don't expect." Dr. Nora Patel. Nora stepped forward. She adjusted her glasses nervously but spoke with confidence. "Their sensors operate on quantum principles we studied for decades," she explained. "I've developed a device that creates a blind spot. When activated, anything inside its field becomes invisible to Cridorian technology." She demonstrated with a small disc-shaped device. When she pressed its center, the group watched as her hand seemed to disappear from view through the Cridorian detection goggles they'd captured. "It's not perfect," she admitted. "The field only extends 3 meters and lasts 30 minutes before needing to recharge. But it's enough to get us started." While the resistance prepared, Global Coalition delegates met with Cridorian officials in what appeared to be peace talks. General Maya Foster led the human delegation, seemingly cooperative but secretly mapping Cridorian weaknesses. "We understand the benefits of joining your empire," she told the alien representatives. "Earth is ready to contribute resources and labor." The Cridorians, led by Regional Commander Drestool, seemed pleased with Earth's swift compliance. "The Emperor will be satisfied with your wisdom," he said. "Other species have made unfortunate choices." That night, Lieutenant Sam Russell infiltrated the Cridorian flagship orbiting Earth. Using Nora's stealth technology, he slipped past guards and accessed their main computer system. What he discovered would change everything. "They've conquered 17 other species," Sam reported after returning to Resistance headquarters. "But humans are unique. Their records show confusion about our biology and behavior. We're more adaptable than any species they've encountered." Jack studied the stolen data. "They're used to species that evolved in stable environments. Earth's history of disasters, climate shifts, and wars created humans who thrive on change." "There's more," Sam added. "Their biology is highly specialized. They struggle with Earth's gravity, our bacteria, even our food. They're wearing environmental suits constantly." Nora's eyes lit up. "That could be our advantage. They can't adapt to us, but we can adapt to them." Across the globe, pockets of resistance formed. In Sydney, farmers poisoned Cridorian food supplies with harmless human bacteria that wreaked havoc on alien digestive systems. In Lagos, engineers disrupted communication signals. In Quebec, doctors studied captured Cridorian medical equipment to understand their physiology. The Cridorians responded with increased security measures, but found themselves playing a constant game of catch-up against human ingenuity. In their orbital command center, Imperial Governor Zeth Kron reviewed concerning reports from his subordinates. "How is it possible?" he demanded. "These humans were supposed to be primitive, easily controlled." His science advisor shifted uncomfortably. "They're different, sir. Their history contains thousands of wars against themselves. They've had to overcome challenges we never faced. Perhaps we underestimated them." Zeth Kron slammed his fist down. "No species resists the Empire for long. Increase enforcement troops. Make examples of resistance leaders." Little did he know, resistance wasn't just growing. It was thriving. And beneath Dr. Martinez's hidden laboratory, a technology was developing that would soon change the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Dr. Olivia Martinez hadn't slept in 3 days. Her lab, hidden deep underground in the Rocky Mountains, buzzed with activity as her team worked around the clock. Screens displayed complex equations and simulations of quantum particles. "It's ready," she said, stepping back from her workstation. In her hands was a small device that glowed with a soft blue light, the quantum shield prototype. Her assistant looked skeptical. "It's so small. Can it really protect against Cradorian weapons?" Olivia smiled. "Size doesn't matter. This device creates a field that redirects energy at the quantum level. Their weapons will simply slide around anything inside the field." While Olivia worked on defense, Major Lisa Chen was focused on offense. Her guerrilla teams struck Cradorian supply depots around the world, disappearing before reinforcements arrived. Tonight, they targeted a fuel station in what used to be northern Canada. "Move in teams of 3, Lisa instructed her fighters as they prepared to attack. "Remember, they can't see through the stealth fields, but they can still hear you. Stay quiet." Lisa was a natural leader. Before the invasion, she had commanded special forces missions in conflict zones worldwide. Now she applied those skills against a more dangerous enemy. The mission was a success. By dawn, the Cradorians were missing another supply station, and Lisa's team vanished into the wilderness with stolen technology. Earth itself seemed to be fighting back against the invaders. Reports came in from Cradorian medical facilities about mysterious illnesses affecting their troops. Human scientists quickly realized what was happening. Earth's diverse microbes were making the aliens stick. Their immune systems evolved on a different world, explained Dr. Kevin Foster to resistance leaders. "They have no natural defenses against our bacteria and viruses. Even harmless microbes on our skin can make them seriously ill." Admiral Ben Carter, formerly of the Global Coalition Navy, now coordinated military responses from a mobile command center beneath the Atlantic Ocean. His submarine headquarters constantly moved to avoid detection. "The Cradorians control the skies, but they struggle underwater," he told his officers. "We'll use that to our advantage. Prepare the aquatic assault teams for deployment." On the Cradorian Imperial flagship, Governor Zeth Kron faced growing problems. His purple skin had paled from stress and lack of sleep. "How can these humans be so unpredictable?" he demanded of his advisors. "Every time we adapt our strategy, they change their tactics." His military commander, Vextor, appeared equally frustrated. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered. They don't follow patterns. Each group seems to operate independently, yet somehow their actions work together. Find their central command," Zeth Kron ordered. "Cut off the head, and the body will die." "That's the problem," replied Vextor. "We believe they have no single command structure. They operate in cells, adapting locally. It's most unusual." The turning point came unexpectedly. A Cradorian patrol discovered a resistance outpost near what had once been Buenos Aires. They prepared for a standard containment operation, expecting easy victory. Instead, they encountered humans protected by Dr. Martinez's quantum shields. For the first time, Cradorian weapons had no effect. The patrol retreated in confusion and fear. That same week, Earth forces launched a coordinated attack on the lunar base the Cradorians had established. Admiral Carter's specially trained space teams, equipped with quantum shields and adapted Cradorian weapons, reclaimed humanity's first foothold beyond Earth. When news of the lunar victory spread, celebration erupted among resistance groups worldwide. It was the first major win against the supposedly invincible empire. In his private quarters, Zeth Kron received the report of the lunar defeat with growing alarm. He opened a direct communication channel to the Imperial Council. "Request immediate reinforcements," he said, his voice strained. "These humans are not like the others. They are dangerous in ways we did not anticipate." As the transmission ended, he looked out at the blue planet below. For the first time since becoming governor, Zethkron felt something new. Doubt. The highest council chamber of the Cridorian Empire buzzed with angry voices. Projected in the center of the room was an image of Earth, spinning slowly. "One planet should not require this many resources," shouted Council Elder Vrektul, slamming his fist on the table. "Governor Zethkron has failed us." "Perhaps the governor is not at fault," said Councillor Mirazan, her voice calmer than her peers. "Our standard approaches may not work on this species." The debate raged across the stars while on Earth, the resistance gained momentum. In a university basement that had been converted to a high-tech lab, Professor Daniel Grant made a breakthrough. "I've done it," he announced to the small team of engineers working with him. Daniel was in his 50s with salt and pepper hair and hands that moved quickly as he spoke. "I've decoded their communication network." He displayed a series of patterns on his screen. "The Cridorians use quantum encryption, but they repeat certain sequences. Once I identified those patterns, I could predict the full code." Daniel's discovery meant humans could now listen to every Cridorian transmission. They learned of supply schedules, patrol routes, and most importantly, the growing division among Imperial leadership about how to handle Earth. Meanwhile, resistance fighters achieved another victory. A team led by Captain Kate Wilson raided a Cridorian weapons facility in what had once been Eastern Russia. "Move quickly," Kate instructed her team as they slipped past the outer defenses using Nora's stealth technology. "We have 20 minutes before their security systems reset." Kate had been a police officer before the invasion. Now she was one of Earth's most effective tactical leaders. Her team moved with precision, neutralizing guards with non-lethal force and securing the facility. "Focus on the items on the primary list," she reminded them. "The compact energy weapons and shield generators are priority." They escaped with crates of advanced technology that would soon be reverse-engineered by Earth scientists and distributed to resistance cells worldwide. As humans adapted Cridorian technology for their own use, they made an unexpected discovery. The weapons and tools were actually simple to modify. It seemed the Cridorians had stopped innovating centuries ago, relying on the same designs that had served them across their conquests. "Their technology is stagnant," explained Dr. Martins during a global resistance briefing. "They haven't faced a serious challenge in generations. We're forcing them to innovate, and they're struggling." The most surprising development came from an unexpected source. A Cridorian scientist named Mevlak reached out to the resistance through a secure channel. "Not all Cridorians support the Empire's methods," Mevlak told Commander Harlow during their first secret meeting. The alien's voice was soft, almost apologetic. "Some of us believe your species deserves respect, not subjugation." Jack studied the Cridorian cautiously. "Why come to us now?" "Because the Empire is changing its approach," Mevlak explained. "They're bringing planet-killer weapons. Weapons we developed but vowed never to use. I cannot allow this." The information Mevlak provided allowed Earth forces to prepare for the new threat. But equally valuable was the insight into Cridorian psychology and biology the scientists shared. "Their rigid thinking is their greatest weakness," Mevlak explained. "The Empire has succeeded for so long that they cannot imagine failure." As Earth's resistance grew stronger, word spread to other conquered worlds. The Cridorian Empire had subjugated 17 species across the galaxy, but none had resisted as effectively as humans. On the aquatic world of Thalassa, amphibious beings shared whispered stories of Earth's defiance. On the desert planet Xeros, insectoid creatures began questioning Imperial authority. On mining colonies throughout the Empire, workers looked up from their labor with new hope in their eyes. The Cridorian Council received troubling reports from multiple systems. The Empire's hold was slipping, not just on Earth, but throughout their territory. "This contagion of rebellion must be contained," declared the Emperor himself, finally taking personal interest in the Earth situation. "Prepare the final solution. Earth must be made an example." But humanity had already spread a dangerous idea throughout the stars. Freedom was possible. The morning sky filled with a strange light as Cradorian warships entered Earth's atmosphere. Unlike the occupation vessels before them, these were massive planet killers, designed to end resistance once and for all. In Global Coalition headquarters, resistance leaders gathered for what might be their final meeting. "The Cradorians are tired of playing games," said Admiral Carter, pointing to the tactical display. "These new ships carry weapons capable of destroying entire continents." President Rivera nodded grimly. "Then it's time for our endgame too. Dr. Martinez, are you ready?" Olivia stepped forward. She looked exhausted but determined. "The global quantum shield network is complete. Every major population center has a generator in place, but we've never tested the system at full scale." "We don't have a choice," said Commander Harlow. "It's now or never." Rivera looked around the room at Earth's last defense. "Send the signal. All resistance cells worldwide will attack simultaneously. While the Cradorians are distracted, we'll activate the shield." Across the planet, humans prepared for battle. In Sydney, farmers turned fighters ready their adapted Cradorian weapons. In Cairo, former office workers checked their stealth devices. In Rio, engineers powered up captured alien vehicles. Major Lisa Chen led her team through the streets of Singapore toward a Cradorian command post. "Remember," she told them, "we just need to keep them busy for 15 minutes. That's when the shield activates." The global uprising began at exactly 700 hours Universal Time. In every occupied city, on every continent, humans emerged from hiding and struck at their oppressors. In orbit above Earth, pilot Eric Johnson led a fleet of captured and modified Cradorian shuttles. Once a commercial airline pilot, Eric now commanded Earth's makeshift space force. "All wings, form up," he said into his communicator. "Target the flagship's weapon systems. Don't worry about their shields. Our modified weapons will penetrate." The space battle caught the Cradorians completely by surprise. Human pilots flew in patterns the Cradorians couldn't predict, using maneuvers no Imperial pilot would attempt. On the Imperial flagship, Governor Zethkron watched in horror as his carefully planned attack fell into chaos. "How are they coordinating this?" he demanded. "It's happening everywhere at once." His tactical officer had no answers. "Sir, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's surface. Something is building power across their entire grid." In her control center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Martinez watched the power levels rise on her monitors. The quantum shield network drew energy from every power source on Earth: hydroelectric dams, solar farms, wind turbines, and even the Cradorians' own generators, secretly modified by resistance engineers. 90%, 95%, she counted. Almost there. As the Cradorians prepared to fire their planet killers, Dr. Martinez pressed her hand against the activation panel. "Shield network, engage." A wave of shimmering energy spread across the planet, starting from the main generators and quickly covering the entire surface. When the Cradorians fired their weapons, the deadly energy beams struck the shield and dispersed harmlessly. "Impossible," shouted Zethkron. "Fire again. Maximum power." But each attack yielded the same result. The quantum shield held, protecting Earth from the Empire's most powerful weapons. In space, Eric's pilots pressed their advantage, disabling weapon systems and engines on the Imperial ships. On the ground, resistance fighters captured key installations and rounded up Cradorian troops. The battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, humans controlled most of Earth's surface and orbit for the first time since the invasion began. In the Imperial flagship's communication center, Governor Zethkron received an emergency transmission from the Imperial Council. "The rebellion is spreading," reported Council Elder Vrektul, his voice tight with anger. "3 other systems have risen up against us. They're using Earth tactics." Ambassador Lyra Voss, who had delivered the original ultimatum to Earth, entered the command center. "Governor, the humans are requesting your presence for negotiations. They're offering terms." Zeth Kron stared at the blue planet below, now protected by a shield his weapons couldn't penetrate. Terms. They wish to dictate terms to the Empire. Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, Governor. And based on today's events, I suggest we listen." For the first time in its 10,000-year history, the Crydorian Empire was forced to negotiate as equals rather than conquerors. The turning point had arrived. News traveled faster than light through the galaxy. On world after world, beings of all forms heard the same incredible story. Earth had forced the mighty Crydorian Empire to negotiate. A planet that had only developed space travel a century ago had accomplished what no species had managed in 10,000 years. On the desert world of Syros, insectoid beings gathered in underground caverns to share the story. The humans refused to bow. They chittered to each other. They fought back with tools made from the Empire's own technology. In the crystal cities of Lumina, light-based life forms pulsed with excitement as they passed the information from one to another. The humans protected their world with a shield the Empire cannot break. They flashed. They say even the smallest human child refused to accept Imperial rule. Commander Jack Harlow stood on the bridge of the Liberty, a captured Crydorian cruiser now repurposed and crewed by humans. Through the view screen, he watched the blue-green planet of Aquari grow larger as they approached. "Are you sure they'll meet with us?" asked his second-in-command, a young woman named Olivia Reyes. Jack nodded. "Their resistance contacted us 3 days ago. They've been fighting a guerrilla war against the Crydorians for decades, but never had the technology to make real progress. They're eager for our help." The meeting with the Aquari leadership took place in a hidden underwater city. The Aquari were amphibious beings with sleek bodies and large, expressive eyes. Their leader, Elder Moraine, embraced Jack with webbed hands. "For generations, we believed freedom was impossible," Moraine said, his voice musical and strange to human ears. "You have given us hope." Jack shared Earth's technology and tactics. In return, the Aquari offered knowledge of nearby star systems and Crydorian patrol routes. Before the Liberty departed, a dozen Aquari volunteers joined the crew, eager to help liberate other worlds. This scene repeated across the sector as Earth ships visited planet after planet. Each species brought unique knowledge and abilities to what was quickly becoming an alliance. Meanwhile, the Crydorian Empire faced problems it had never encountered before. On their throne world of Crador, the Emperor himself called an emergency session of the Imperial Council. "How can this rebellion spread so quickly?" demanded Emperor Voskrell, his voice echoing through the Grand Chamber. "We control all interstellar communication." "It appears, Your Majesty," replied Council Elder Vrektol reluctantly, "that the humans have adapted our quantum communication technology to bypass our security measures. They're sharing information and technology with all our subject worlds." "And there's something else," added High Commander Zexkor. "Our forces report that many of our own citizens are questioning Imperial policy. The humans have introduced something called the Earth Doctrine, the idea that all sentient species have the right to self-determination." The Emperor's face darkened with rage. "Ideas are more dangerous than weapons. Increased propaganda efforts. Send our best fleets to crush this rebellion." But the Empire's response came too late. The methods and technologies of Earth's resistance had already spread too far. On hundreds of worlds, beings who had lived under Imperial rule for generations began to question, to resist, to fight back. On the manufacturing world of Mechos, robotic workers reprogrammed themselves to reject Imperial control codes. On agricultural planets, farmers poisoned food shipments bound for Crydorian military bases. In space, Imperial ships found their communication and navigation systems hacked and corrupted. 6 months after Earth's victory, Commander Harlow stood in a vast meeting hall on the neutral world of Centauri Prime. Before him were representatives from 27 formerly subjugated species, all now free from Imperial control. "The Crydorian Empire is in retreat," Jack told them. They've abandoned over 30% of their territory already, but they're regrouping for a counterattack. Elder Moraine of Aquari spoke up. Then we must strike first. We must take the fight to Crater itself. The hall erupted in cheers of agreement. Plans were made, fleets assembled, tactics developed. The former slaves of the Empire would now march on its heart. As Jack watched the representatives discuss strategy, he marveled at how quickly things had changed. Less than a year ago, humans had faced alien invaders alone. Now they led a galactic alliance against a weakening empire. The final battle for freedom would take place where no one had ever dared challenge the Empire before, on Crater itself. The Imperial Palace on Crater gleamed under twin suns, its crystal spires reaching toward the sky. For 10,000 years, no enemy had ever set foot on this sacred world. Today, that would change. In orbit above the planet, the combined fleet of the newly formed Galactic Federation of Free Worlds prepared for the final battle. Ships of every shape and size, crewed by beings from dozens of worlds, moved into position. Captain Alan Wright, who had made first contact with the Cradorians 2 years earlier, commanded the flagship Freedom. Beside him stood representatives from 6 different species, all working together to coordinate the attack. The Imperial fleet is moving to intercept, reported Nara, an Aquari navigator. 17 capital ships, plus support vessels. Alan nodded calmly. Just as we expected. Begin Phase 1. The Federation fleet split into smaller groups, using tactics developed by Earth's military strategists. Rather than engaging in traditional space combat, the smaller ships darted between the massive Imperial vessels, confusing their targeting systems. On the surface of Crater, Emperor Vos Krull watched the battle unfold via holographic display. His face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped his throne tightly. They cannot possibly win, he told his advisors. Our defenses are impenetrable. Just as he spoke those words, alarms blared throughout the palace. Security monitors showed Federation troops materializing directly inside the Imperial defense perimeter. Impossible, shouted High Commander Zexcor. No transport technology can penetrate our shields. But Dr. Olivia Martinez had proven once again that impossible was merely a challenge. Her quantum displacement system allowed Federation forces to bypass traditional defenses by shifting briefly into another dimension before reappearing inside the Imperial stronghold. The palace guards fought bravely, but were overwhelmed by the combined fighting styles of many different species working together. Human soldiers advanced alongside Aquari water manipulators, Ferosian tunnelers, and Luminen lightbenders. Within hours, Federation forces reached the throne room itself. The massive doors burst open, and Commander Jack Harlow entered, followed by representatives from each member world. Emperor Vos Krull remained seated on his throne, his expression one of disbelief rather than fear. "How is this possible?" he asked as Jack approached. "We ruled the stars before your species even learned to make fire." "That's exactly why you lost," Jack replied. "You stopped learning, stopped adapting. You thought power meant never having to change." Ambassador Lyra Voss stepped forward from the Emperor's side. After witnessing Earth's resistance, she had secretly aided the Federation, providing crucial information about Cradorian weaknesses. "Your Majesty," she said, addressing the Emperor but looking at Jack, "I propose terms of surrender that will preserve Cradorian lives and dignity." 2 days later, representatives from all worlds gathered in the Imperial Garden to sign the Treaty of Soul, named after Earth's sun. The document established the Galactic Federation of Free Worlds as the new governing body of known space, with each member species having equal representation. Captain Alan Wright and Ambassador Voss worked tirelessly on the final wording, ensuring that even the Cradorians themselves were offered membership, though with limitations on their military capacity. "We don't seek revenge," Alan explained to the gathered delegates. "We seek a new beginning where no species rules over another." In the years that followed, Earth became the heart of a new galactic civilization. The planet transformed into a center for cultural exchange. scientific advancement, and diplomatic relations. Former imperial worlds adopted various forms of self-government, some modeled after Earth's democracies, others developing systems unique to their own biology and culture. 5 years after the liberation of Kradur, an observation platform was built in Earth orbit. Here, representatives from all Federation worlds gathered to watch a special ceremony. A fleet of ships prepared to depart on missions of peaceful exploration. Each vessel carried crew members from multiple species, all working together to map unknown regions and contact new civilizations. Admiral Ben Carter addressed the gathered audience. When the Kradorian Empire came to Earth, they thought they would find just another world to rule. Instead, they found the one thing their empire couldn't overcome: the idea that freedom is the natural right of all thinking beings.